Hey guys, ECRG here, back with another episode. Today is April 14th, 2020. I'm doing another coronavirus update. I know a lot of people have been enjoying these updates. My take on the clinical trials industry, how coronavirus is affecting us with tales from the trenches. Actually working through this, being a monitor through this pandemic, this crisis, this never before happened. This crisis, a crisis like this has never happened before. A little tongue-tied. I've asked people a lot in the past about how it was working clinical trials going through the Great Recession, 2008, 2009, after the market crash. A lot of people during that time said they basically, they still had their jobs. There weren't any layoffs of great magnitude. However, they just didn't get extra stuff like bonuses and extra incentives that they offer throughout the industry. So, having been in this crisis for about a month now, I uploaded the first coronavirus video to this channel March 12th. So that's a month and 2 days away. It's crazy how time has flown. So I'm going to give you an update today, April, really in the thick of things. Pretty much most states at this point have issued stay-at-home orders pretty much across the country. I think most people are adhering to that. A little anecdotal evidence just going around town. I think in the beginning when they initially issued a stay-at-home order about 2 weeks ago, a lot of people were adhering to it. I was just out and about today, and it still seems a lot of people are still out and about. I think it has decreased traffic a little bit, not a crazy amount. I think more and more people are becoming more and more comfortable going out. Pretty much all places, restaurants are closed. Bars closed still. All non-essential businesses are closed. Most of the time I've been going to the grocery store. People are starting to wear masks in the grocery store now. You are seeing a lot more of that. You are seeing grocery stores implementing like a traffic pattern. So one-way aisles, one way to go throughout the store, no backtracking. They have signs all around saying stay 6 feet away from people, and things of that nature. So that's quite interesting. Is that the new normal? How much longer is the grocery store going to be like that? How much longer are we going to be in a state like this where you're going to have to wear masks in public places? Places like China have already been doing that for years now. I always thought it was interesting when you see people, in America wearing masks. I always thought that was interesting. Maybe I thought they were sick and didn't want to get other people sick. But it's interesting now. So now it's not so peculiar to see that. Most people wearing masks, including myself. I wore a mask. So as far as coronavirus and clinical trials, of course, all that stuff is kind of interlinked. But as far as the clinical trials specifically, I have not heard of any layoffs yet. I think pharmaceuticals are naturally positioned where they're going to be making money regardless because people still need their medications during this time. So I feel like the income flow has not decreased a whole lot yet. We are having a situation where so many people are filing for unemployment. Of course, these people take medications too. So what happens if they have to decide between paying rent or buying food or paying a copay for medication? I think we're not too far away from that if this thing continues to go on. We have people like the President Trump, saying that people need to, keep staying at home. However, he's looking to open the economy back up soon, which I think would be a disaster, because I think we'll be right back in this situation. More people will get infected. It seems like flattening the curve is actually working. People social distancing is actually working and decreasing the stress on our hospital system and our healthcare system. So that's good news. Of course, this isn't directly affecting clinical trials, but it does in the sense that monitoring of the clinical trials can't happen unless the economy is somewhat opened up and there's less of a risk. I do think there's going to become a point where CROs and sponsors are going to open back up travel. Travel has not been completely shut down, although people are voluntarily not traveling. Currently, most companies have a stay-at-home order, as in no travel for executives, salespeople, at least by airport, until the 30th of April. As far as I've heard, that has not been extended past that, but I do see that happening. Whether they have an official policy or an unofficial policy is the question. Officially, there no travel for employees for business reasons until the 30th. Unofficially, they might, make it a few weeks longer, depending. Obviously, sites may not be open. Keep in mind, pharmaceutical companies' clinical trials are usually on at-risk populations. Any type of underlying medical condition leaves you extra susceptible to COVID. So they have to be wary of the patients too. So there's a lot of say here. Even if sponsors and CROs open back up travel, not all sites are going to open up travel at the same time too. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that happens. But so far we have implemented remote monitoring strategies. Those seem to be going okay. Not as thorough as on-site monitoring. Not as thorough as on-site monitoring, but it gets the job done. It's okay for now. Hard to say when we'll open back up because protocols were written, monitoring windows were written. So far, I haven't heard of a lot of amendments to the protocols because of this, and I think we're just trying to make it to the finish line of the study at this point. However, we can do that. I was in the middle of a couple studies actually that were about to be closed down. Literally, if COVID was not happening, I would be closing them down right now. The past weeks and the week going forward, closing them out. So that would have been interesting if we had done all that and then COVID hit. Then we'd be literally sitting with nothing to do. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise. We actually have quote unquote work to do during this time because those sites are not closed out. So we have to continue monitoring them, continue keeping up with them. And we've actually let patients continue to take the study drug, even if they are past the end of the study, until they can get an on-site study termination visit. So a lot of times you want that last set of data, even though you've been collecting data along this whole time for months and years, they want that last bit of data before they come off the study. Now, this is just right now. This is April 14th, 2020. Things can change. If we're in September, I doubt they're going to let them keep taking the study drug. I'm sure there's going to be a remote study termination visit because at the end of the day, we have been collecting data now for months. So, what is that data going to, and especially these are open label studies, so they've actually been on study drug. So they've been collecting that data for months and years now. So is that data really that necessary? Probably not. But we're right here at the end. Like I said, they'd be doing their study termination visits. We'd be right there to close them out. So we were at the end. So we will see. So haven't had any major changes. We've been continuing to do remote monitoring. Continuing, people are working from home. As many people as possible. I think, like I mentioned before in other episodes, it's going to be interesting when, a month from now, people they're saying, come back into the office. How many people are going to be like, no, I don't want to come into the office anymore. I loved not having to wake up and deal with traffic, not having to wake up and get ready in the morning, not having to wake up, put gas in my car, not having to wake up and, take my car to the shop because of the maintenance and the commute. I think it's going to be really interesting. And, I was a little off topic, but it's going to be interesting for things like school. All the kids are working remotely, are taking classes remotely. For a place like college where you're paying $50,000 a year, do I really need to pay that for all 4 years? Or can they really do half online, half in person, or some variation of that to get a reduced price? So, I've heard that colleges are really, might be affected by this. Of course, they should have had a more robust online learning community this whole time. But it is what it is. So COVID, guys, it's crazy that we're living through this. It's crazy that we're living through this time. Hope you guys are staying safe. Hope you guys have ordered some masks and continuing to protect yourself and your family. Hopefully nobody that listens to this podcast/YouTube channel have contracted COVID. And if you have, hopefully I wish you a speedy recovery. Because I guess if you do catch it and you do beat it, you are unsusceptible to getting it again for at least some period of time. So you could move through the world more freely and more comfortably, having done that. So what do you guys think? Tell me in the comments. Do you think everything will be open back up by June? Or do you think it'll be incremental and it'll take all the way until September? Do you think that the President Trump will do something erratic, just try and open up the whole country again? Certain parts of the country open back up. They get it, start spreading it and contaminating other people, and they have to close back down. What do you think is going to happen? I'm of the mindset that it's going to be sort of a double dip. I think, as I've seen just anecdotally, more and more people are being more comfortable out and about. So I think whether it's opened officially or unofficially, people are going to start going out more and congregating more just because they're tired of being closed up. They're tired of being self-quarantined in their house. And I think we'll have a spike again. But I think our initial efforts to at least quell the stress on the hospital system has worked. Hopefully we can get a vaccine soon. Hopefully we can find some treatment soon. Just anecdotally read an article that the hydrochloroquine anti-malarial drug has not had good success in clinical trials, but that's obviously very, very early. There's also been anecdotal evidence that it works well. I think it's been interesting. I read an article that President Trump has been pushing chloroquine a lot, but if you go follow the money, he owns. He has a big chunk of the company that makes the drug. So I think that's very questionable. So we just want to look at the data here. Hopefully we can find some kind of alternate therapy that works. I've seen a lot of posts on Instagram about alternate therapies that are now going to be in clinical trials too. So hopefully we can find something to kind of mitigate this virus and stamp it out before a vaccine comes. And hopefully that vaccine comes sooner than later. Then we know for sure we can open back up. So this is my update, guys, on COVID. If you guys have any questions about it or any specific things about what I think is going to happen, email me, eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com. If you guys are interested in resume reviews, LinkedIn profile reviews, or interview preparation, email me, eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com. Take care.